Hi guys, and welcome to this tutorial on using RAF Virtual C# Air Tasking and Operation System version 2.0.0.13 or higher. This replaces the RAF Virtual SCI application and will automatically update, or should automatically update, for those running SCI when they first log in after it goes live. Otherwise you can download it using the links in the forums as given to you by your instructor or the like. So when you first load up, it will load up like this. You'll get this lovely little screen here which tells you about the program, gives you the latest version, the copyright information and all that fun stuff. You have some options you can go through from here. You can exit in the file menu, the view. This horizontal control bar can't be used until we log in. You can bring up some options, so you can tell it that you want it to remember your last login details. You can tell it that you want it to the number of flights you want it to last show, set the traffic despawn options, set the default update ratios. If you're running Oz runways, you can enter your IP here and tell it you want to send, such as I could put 10.0.0.3, which is my Oz runways laptop, and click this. And it will automatically send, and you can have a look at where the airframes currently are. You can also do some normal Windows arrangement. To log in, you simply type your RAF information in here and click the login button. At this point it will log you in, and you'll see down the bottom what it's currently doing. It's getting user data. Sometimes it may go not responding. It's fine, just let it think. Eventually it'll update and it will come up like this. So we are logged in. We can see our pilot details, our endorsements, our recent flights, see on the map our recent flights as well. We can minimize or maximize this window. We have some options down the side here that we can use. We have some options for when we're connected to the sim here, and we can now use this horizontal control bar. What it does is it moves this bar from down the side here to across the top, and if you want it back, you simply click it again. The way you use the new version's rather easy. You simply move down the task list down here until you get to this point. Then you can either use the options on this side or the one just here. So let's take a look. First off, we want to book an aircraft. We're in a C-27 in my sim, so we're just going to book a C-27. We come down, we select the squadron we're after, and we select the airframe we want. In this case, I'm going to book 34-001 and press book. It'll give you some information telling you that if it was successful or not, and just in case somebody bet you to it while you were sitting on the screen or something. Simply tap the OK button. It'll tell you that the flight time has been reset. This is important for when we go to file, but otherwise you can just tap OK. And this will update. After a few moments you'll see that it's now telling you where you're booked. It's giving you your lat and longs, and the data over here is updated, and we can see on the map where we are. If we need to know our call signs, we can look just here, and this will show for the current selected squadron. At this point we can either close this window down, and it's recommended that you actually do, and we can go to our air tasking orders. On this page we can see any and all tasking orders for any squadron. So we can select this and we can see that we've got some normal taskings here. A double click on this will bring up the task, and you can click accept task here. It'll book the task. You will notice that this does not refresh completely, but to get the information back again, just double click. It'll refresh and give you all the pertinent information. To release the task, if you're not planning on flying it anytime soon, simply tap the release task button. It will release it back to the system. Once you've booked an aircraft and you're ready to go for a fly, click the flight plan button here and it'll start filling out some information for you. You need to actually select this if you're planning on connecting to our Fsd Data Link. So you'll need at least your call sign and your aircraft type. We'd prefer you fill out as much of this information as you can, and really there's no excuse not to, because we can fill all this out. So we can have a look. It's currently coming up on 1930. You can tell it that we want to go to wherever, so we're just going to make a quick flight plan here. And we've got some options. We can do save, and this will just save it into the system for use with the RAF Virtual Fsd Data Link, or you can press save and send to VATSIM. When you do this, you'll see that it actually opens up completely ready to pre-file on the VATSIM pre-filer. So we can just close that out. At this point we're ready to connect to the simulator. We can either connect to the simulator by clicking this button here and coming down here, just in case we needed to set our no static traffic over flight level 200. This will, once you go above to 20,000 feet ASL, it will despawn any traffic, despawn traffic on takeoff, which will despawn the traffic on takeoff, how long you want the updates from RAF Virtual, and the all-important I'm a client in a multiplayer session, which you need to tick in the future if you're a client in a multiplayer session. But otherwise, these options down the bottom can all be set from over here, and I'll give an example. If we close this window out, and we've just got another one here, which is just our SimConnect window. So if you ever just see something like this, it just means that your SimConnect log window's open and it can't be actually closed. So we just click on back on any of the other buttons and it'll bring anything to front. But we're just going to click on the disconnect to sim, and as you can see, we've just connected to the sim. Console's changed slightly, and we've got a bunch of information here, which just tells us that we've basically connected and everything's initialized properly. The move to aircraft button here went blue, which means it's ready to work. The traffic services is red and we can actually click on it, and the Fsd Data Link button can now be clicked on and activated. Now you can click here to move to your aircraft, and it'll tell you that you're about to move to your aircraft, which will reset your flight timer. Click OK. You can see in the sim it's moved us. Another option we've got is to actually come up to the add-ons, SCI, and move me to aircraft. Now this isn't recommended if you're running TACPAC, because TACPAC tends to blow you up if you use this option. So If you're running TACPAC, do it from in here rather than in the sim. You can start and stop the traffic services. Unlike the previous version, it only spawns in traffic immediately around you, so you don't have the big hit on the frame rate and the like anymore. So you can do this by clicking here, or again, add-ons, SCI, start stop traffic services. You'll get a message in here telling you that it's starting the traffic services, and after a while it'll end up polling, grabbing all the traffic and start spawning it in. Here at Richmond we should end up with about 7 aircraft at the current time spawned in. It just goes through and steadily spawns it. And the final one is the Fsd Data Link, which is used for so that the AWACS, like the wedge tail and the like, can actually see you. It does not connect you to VATSIM or anything like that, just the RAF Virtual Military FSD server. And as we can see in the background here, the traffic spawned in. Now, presuming we've gone for a fly, we've come back and parked, we can then go to flight filing, just here. And you can see that it's basically pre-filled out all our information for us, or as much of it as it can. It knows the aircraft we're flying because we've got it booked. It knows where we took off from because that was the last position the aircraft was at. We can tell it to try and fetch where we're at by clicking the fetch button here, and it will go through the database and try and work out the closest airport. It'll show you a little green dot to give you an idea of where it thinks that you are, and you can confirm it. If you've got a task number, you can load it up here and it will automatically pre-file out your payload for you. You set the flight date like normal. So, presuming I was actually going to file this one, you do it like so. You can set your flight hours. Just like you would on the website. Now, if you're an instructor, you can set your instructor hours, and if you're sharing a cockpit, you'd select this button here. And what it'll do is, it'll only add the hours to you and the squadron. It won't add them to the airframe. You can see this. When you file your flight hours will not be added to the aircraft or the call sign data. So you need to book the aircraft after your students released it, and then simply file the flight and it will automatically update your hours for you. The takeoff type like normal, your approach type, your landing type, any payload comments, your call sign needs to be entered, and of course if you're in one that's got a CAT system, down here selecting the various CAT system and ticking the boxes. Finally you'd tap the file flight button, it'll come up with a warning, and then it'll go through and lodge the flight. It will not do so if you're airborne or anything stupid like that. We're not actually going to do this right at the moment because, well, I've not gone for a fly, so there's no point. One final thing that we've got is this little option here, the Airdrop and Mission Control panel. That'll bring up this panel here. Like the previous version of Psi, we've got the ability to do airdrops. We can drop any of these objects here, or we can select that we want an other type, which currently is disabled. It'll be in the next version. So let's say we want to drop the soldier. We tell it the amount that we want to drop. In this case we're going to tell it 4. We're going to tell it that he weighs 200 pounds. And if we quickly and cheatingly get in the air, by slewing. So we're going to slew ourselves up a little bit here. And we go to our external view. If we hit the key that's mapped to our border rudder, in my case it's Control W, you can see that it starts an airdrop. These guys will fall at the correct rates as shown in some of the documentation that will be coming soon. Just the more of them that you drop, the longer it'll take for the sim to update the altitude on them. So that's the airdrop system. And of course, as per previous aircraft that support it, like this one, if you bring up the control panel, you can automatically set the drop weights and just use the key and it'll spawn the item for you. If we come back over, the other tab we've got here, and we can actually see these, so we can click on them and it'll show us the current location. When they get to the ground, it'll show up down here. If we need to get rid of them for some reason, we just double click on them, and when the sim's next unpaused, they'll be removed. Or we can do delete all active. The mission control panel, we've got a couple of other options. We can spawn in single items like previously by clicking on the item we want, selecting an area, and it will update the lat long, and then we can just click the spawn target and it'll spawn it in. We can tell it that we want a manual entry item and we can type the name in here. We can set up waypoint plans now, so by default things default to the ground, but we can create a waypoint plan by clicking on here and it'll bring up this menu option. We can type in a name, select it and start entering various lat long details. This information will be in a separate tutorial because there's some rather in-depth items on this. We'll close this one for a moment. The other option we've got, of course, is to pre-plan out targets and to load these items and the like. I've got some saved, and we can see here I've just loaded in a save set, and if I load up my pre-planned target list here and open the waypoints, we can see that it's loaded me in some new waypoints. To load these into the sim at any point if we wanted to, we can simply come in here and, just one moment guys, we can just tell it that we want to load the pre-planned. We tell it that and it'll automatically spawn the items in for us. They'll fly their stuff and we get some information here about what's going on. When we're done, if we file the flight plan, it'll automatically release the aircraft for us, which is how everybody should be releasing their aircraft. Then we just simply disconnect from the simulator like normal. So we can either do that simply by clicking here, it will disconnect us from the sim, and we can close out. In the case of this one, I've got a couple of errors because I didn't kill some things properly. If you get something like this happening, you need to let us know so we can work out what's going on and try and fix it. But most times you won't see anything like this. I purposely did things to cause an error. And what's happened here is I didn't delete my static traffic before attempting to disconnect from the sim. So if you're planning on reconnecting to the sim without closing out SI, in here remember to delete all your spawn traffic. That'll stop something like this happening. Because as you can see, it's trying to update the data. It doesn't have any. It doesn't know where any of this stuff is. You probably won't run into this exact error because I'm actually going to fix it. But it's just an idea, something for you to be aware of. Now, I've skipped back down here. Let's say for some reason you actually didn't want to fly the aircraft and you need to debook it. All you do, while you're connected, come here, come to the aircraft booking page, or you don't even need to be connected. See, simply just tap the release button and it'll tell you that it's been released without being flown. And that's everything you need to know about the new version of Psi. When you're done, simply either log out or close out. You'll notice that we no longer have the option up the top here. We're done. Anyway, that's everything. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.